Oops. All right. So I have here, write me a graduation speech focused on continuous learning. If I click submit, now it's trying to do a search looking for graduation speeches, and it now generates a speech. So it's not a basic search that it just looks and downloads a speech. It actually creates or authors the speech for you. So here's a sample graduation speech, right? You could actually also make the tone different. You want to make it professional tone, casual, enthusiastic, informational, funny. You want to make it shorter, longer. You want to do it in an email format, so it can also be a blog post format or bullet point ideas, right? So it now is you're able to cater or customize the response. All right. Let's do something different. Gumawa ng balangkas ng Noli Me Tangere. Do you know what a balangkas is? It's like your summary, your outline, right? And normally this is an assignment usually for K to 12, right? For Noli Me Tangere. But notice that I asked it in Filipino. So I language shift during the conversation, and let's see if it can now cater to me speaking in Filipino. So notice that it's now creating a balangkas or outline. This is not direct copy and paste from the internet. It actually understood what I'm looking for, and it actually produced for me the outline of Noli Me Tangere. All right, and it also gives me citations. Where are sources for all of this that it created? But notice that narito ang balangkas ng Noli Me Tangere. Sana nakatulong ito. So it's able to also language shift and converse with me in Filipino. So it's as though I'm talking to a real person who understands, comprehends what I'm asking, right? How would you normally do this in a search engine? In a search engine, you would search for maybe summary of Noli Me Tangere, and then look for good summaries, and then from the summary you read it, and then you look at the outline, and then you build that outline. It did that for me here, right? So it automated the tasks. It's got data from the internet, right? And it formatted it in the way that caters to my context, what I'm looking for, the problem I'm trying to solve right now. Okay. Now I tried asking it, so what is artificial intelligence? Asking the AI, what is AI? So this is the generic response, the default response. So artificial intelligence, I just highlighted the keywords here. So AI, number one, who? It is a digital computer or a robot on the back end. It's not alive. There is no real person. Alexa or Siri, these are not real persons, right? And then listening to you and then conversing with you. No. At the back end, it's a digital computer. It's not alive. It's powered by electricity. It's connected over the internet, right? So that is the actor. What is it able to do? What are the abilities? It can do things like visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and even language translation. So some of them I was able to demonstrate in a quick conversation a while ago. But how is this possible? How does it do that, right? So it is a combination of computer science and then the data sets, right? Essentially a large amount of data like the web, right? And then machine learning or deep learning. So I will try to elaborate on these terms so that you can understand the building blocks. How did we get here in the first place, right? So number one, we need to have a large set of data. right? And then number two, the robot or the computer needs to learn from that data and needs to be able to do these abilities:
Ayun.
perception, decision making, and so on, right? So where did the data come from? Who put the data? Who put your data on the internet? Right? How did it know that I'm from Taguig? Right? So the basic would be number one, digitization or computerization. So this should, I won't elaborate on this too much. This should be something that's familiar to you, right? So in the 1980s, so we started at digitizing our different documents, right? So from books to ebooks, from physical forms to digital forms, right? When you apply for things like your pag-ibig, your SSS, or government requirements, so you need to fill up forms and submit that, and this gets encoded and then gets available on the internet, right? So things are fast becoming digital. So your records, medical records, your driver's license, right? But that also improves now the speed of service, right? Imagine getting a passport before versus getting a passport now, renewing your driver's license now, getting your medical records available, your birth certificate. Since it's all digital, it's now faster, right? Faster to access. Of course, it has its pros and cons. And now it's available on the net as a big data set, right? Where machine learning or where AI can learn from. Okay. Now, some of this might be consensual, right? Meaning you submit the form, right? Or even things like, I'm assuming most of you are on Facebook or probably Instagram. I know a lot of people have the habit of even things, even the food they eat. Before they eat the food, they take a photo first and then upload it, right? So it's us volunteering our context, our information, and then posting it for the entire web to see, right? Now, some of it are non-consensual, so things like Internet of Things, CCTV cameras that continuously record, so us passing by, so it gets recorded, it also gets uploaded. Other things that might not be consensual, things like environment sensors or things like GPS. So your phone tracks where you are, right? And based on the location of your phone, it actually also helps you with the right mobile services. Okay. So, and also things like websites. When you go to websites, notice that a lot of them now are asking if you want to turn on or turn off cookies. Essentially, cookies, these are your data or personalization that gets recorded on that website, so that the next time you visit that website, it will remember, Tim, this is his account. He doesn't need to type his account again the next time he visits the website, right? Or these are his normal transactions. So it will cater to me better, right? It remembers me through cookies. So yun yung tinatawag nating cookies. Now, this now falls into the next step would be automation. First, what we're digitizing the data. With automation, we're digitizing the process. So repetitive tasks or processes, this gets computerized so that you will have things like an assistive technology. All right. So I won't go through slides that much. So let's look at an example. Let's say Excel. Everyone's familiar with Excel? Now, let's say our task is to create a table with all the provinces in the Philippines. How would you normally do that? Go to the internet, right? And then search. Say things like this. Provinces in the Philippines. Then it will give you different search results. And then you normally look at, the top one would be Wikipedia. Then I go to Wikipedia. Then it tells me this. What's your next step? I would either manually encode this in the table or copy and paste one at a time. I only need the province, maybe the region, and maybe the population if I'm doing the research. So with automation, it allows you to do things like, oops, let me first copy this URL. This is the source of the information. I go back to Excel, and I'm not sure if you know this, but under data, you can actually get data or the table from the web. If I click this, it will ask me what's the URL, and I type the URL here. It will scan that entire website, that URL, for the tables, and it will give you a list of, here are the tables I found. Which table do you want to get the information? So this is it. This is nice if you want to have an updated table, wherein if they update the content on the web, your table also gets updated if you are connected, right? Okay, so I think my Wi-Fi is suffering because I am also projecting via Zoom. Let's see. Let's wait for it a bit. Oops. Let me cancel that first, then just this one. Oops. Provinces of the Philippines. Copy again. Let's try it again. From the web, put the URL. There you go. Now it actually scanned and shared with me. These are two tables that it found on the URL. So I like this one, right? This is the one I need, but I don't need all of this data. So I can also transform this data. And then here are tools. Let me just breeze through this quickly. The first row is my header, right? And then I have all the provinces. I don't need the capital. I don't need the population rank, area rank, population density. I don't need this. And I can now delete these columns. I just need this: province, region, and population. And then I close and load. So it automated that for you. So you now have this table, and I have my population here, right? So let's say I want to do an additional task here. I want to have a province ID, province or province code. Now, if the task is, let's say, you need to get the population number, and then you need to get the province name, and then put a dash. So I can, let's say, have here Abra dash or just the region, let's say car. So this would be my code, Abra car, right? If I do next, so Abra car, and then Agusan. Notice what happens when I start typing Agusan del Norte. It learned from my pattern that I am getting from column 1, I'm putting a dash, and I'm getting from column 2. And now, what did it do? It automated all of that for me. So imagine this, if this is millions of records, and then you have a repetitive tasks, you teach it what you want to happen, and then it learns and it automates, right? But this is just automation. This is not yet AI, right? Let me give you another example of automation. This one. So this is also a popular tool, Microsoft Word, right? One thing that it automates is grammar check, right? Or spelling check. So sometimes we write long documents and it's very difficult to spot that we might have a typographical error. So things like this flock, right? And it tells me what are some potential correct options. So I have here flock, right? Everyone's familiar with spell check and grammar check in Word. But do you know that in Word, you can also do things like this? So I have here editor. If I click editor, all right, on my right, it actually helps me gauge my writing, right? Editor score is 75%. It will tell me I can accept or ignore the suggested refinements and potentially increase my editor score to 25%. So as a learner, this can help me now improve the way I write. Or as a teacher, this can also help me evaluate the writing of my students, right? So it tells me spelling, grammar check, refinements on clarity, and so on. There was a question posted before the session, things like, how do I check whether this write-up was plagiarized from the internet, right? There's also a tool here wherein it will actually help me check for similarity with online sources. If I click this, it's going to search the internet and then tell me, okay, this sentence here is matches with these possible sources, right? So it tells me there are 91% of the text is similar to online sources, right? And it can help me now go through which parts and where are the sources. So imagine doing this manually, wherein you just get the document and then you search the internet manually. So this automates that tasks for you, right? So you have here somewhat like a plagiarism checker, right? One last. So we've done Excel, we've done Word. How about PowerPoint? So oftentimes with PowerPoint, what do we need to automate with PowerPoint? Creating the slides. I know some folks who spend more time in beautifying their presentation rather than the content, right? So here with PowerPoint, it now helps you do the reverse, focus on the content. Let's say, how does AI work? Let's say, number one, collect data. Number two, build the AI model. Number three, train the AI model. Then number four, test. All right. And then maybe I can just insert a picture from stock image. Let's say I want to artificial intelligence. And then see what are some potential matches. So let's say I want this one. I insert this. So I have here the content that I want. And on the right, you'll notice that it automates creating the formatting for me, right? It looks at the format that best fits the rest of my presentation. And it designs it for me. And I have several options. I can do this option, right? So I just keep focusing on the content and I let the automation assist me in creating or beautifying the slides, which otherwise I would have spent more time here, cropping the picture, resizing it, changing the font, the color of the background. That takes a lot of time. But this one, it assists me, it automates that for me. All right. Now, so we're now at so we've now automated or computerized the data and computerized the process. What is next? Next would be your machine learning. How does it learn, right? How do you train it to learn, right? So let me give you some examples. What is machine learning? Machine learning allows, so let's see, from PowerPoint, there's also machine learning here. Let me has anyone tried the subtitles in PowerPoint? So here, let's say I put a subtitle and then spoken language, I select English, and then subtitle language, I put Filipino, right? Let's test this. I start presenting here. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to be presenting to you today. I hope you learn a lot from this presentation. All right. So notice that it understood that I'm speaking English. It comprehends what I'm saying. It's not direct word for word, right? Right. First word and then translate to Filipino. Second word, no. It finished. It helped me. It allowed me to finish my sentence, understood the message I'm trying to convey, and then conveyed it in Filipino. How did it do that? Did it learn every Filipino word? No, right? So if you notice here, you could actually have it in multiple languages, Bulgarian, Chinese. So imagine if you're now presenting to a Chinese audience, you could actually create your own subtitles and deliver your presentation in English, and they would have the subtitles. Or you can have also your own Korean novela, right? And it will create your subtitles for you. So this is an example of machine learning. So the AI was trained to understand spoken English and trained to interpret that and then trained to translate that into Filipino. And then this now gets embedded into tools like PowerPoint. You also have this in other tools like online meetings, right? So let me just turn it off for now. There are other tools that allow you to do vision training or sentiment analysis. Let me just show you this. So this is Power Automate. What it does, it allows you to create automation, right? So you don't need to be a programmer to create an application or an automation. So here are some examples. There are already some templates. Okay, so let's say forward emails to a channel, or let's say, let me have notifications, let's say. So how it works is there is a trigger and then there is a series of actions. So let's say this automation notifies me and emails me whenever a file is uploaded to OneDrive, right? So the trigger is when there is a file uploaded to OneDrive. The automation is it will send me a notification and it will send me an email, or send an email for new tweets about a certain keyword. Let's say I'm monitoring pals in Twitter. So I want to know every time pals is mentioned in Twitter. So it does the automation for me. So this is how this works. It's not, so I don't need to be a programmer. I just select a template. Okay, I want to do this. And it will tell me sign into Twitter, sign into your email, and it will do the rest. Right? And then of course, what do you want to monitor in Twitter? Right? But this is just basic automation. What I want to show you is machine learning. So to build your AI, there are what you call models. Ano yung models? So just like the templates a while ago for automation, there are also templates for artificial intelligence. Right? So let's explore some of these templates. So there are templates for vision, for speech, for sentiment. For example, ano ba yung mga common natin ginagawa? Let's say this one, extract information from business cards. Do you still use business cards? The physical business cards? Especially during conferences, sometimes you collect a lot, di ba? And then now, ang challenge done is, how do I now encode all of these business cards? Right? So here, this is an AI model that was trained to recognize business cards and extract the information. Paano kung landscape or vertical portrait? Paano kung iba yung layout? So notice that it now recognizes, even if it's a different character, right? It recognizes which part of the business card is the name, most likely the job title, the phone number, and so on, and extracts that from me. How does it do that? It does that through learning. To learn, you need to keep on uploading. Oops, this is a trial kasi. You keep on uploading sample business cards and then you tell it, that's wrong. This is the name. This is the last name. This is the first name. When you correct it and train it and then add more and add more, it gets better and better at recognizing business cards. All right, understood? Now it can do the same thing for invoices, right? Imagine this one is a scanned invoice or faxed invoice, but even if it's not perfectly aligned or centered, you can actually see that it actually gets the pertinent information for me, right? So imagine court proceedings, legal documents. If you have the templates, you can train it to understand your template and allow it to get your information. You can also train it on things like, let's say, language detection. What language is this? It detects that it's 100% French. Take a random sample. What language is this? It is 67% confidence that it's Spanish. So you keep on adding more text and then tell it, okay, this is Filipino, right? And it will learn from that. So imagine, how did we build that automatic caption and translation? It's the same way. You train the model how to understand, he's speaking English and he wants it translated in Filipino. And then it learns and adapts, right? It could also do things like object detection, right? It can do things like facial recognition. It can do things like sentiment analysis. Tim is happy, or Tim is sad at the picture, or Tim is angry. So it learns from the model, and then you can now use it for other people. It might not be Tim. It could be a different person, and it will analyze based on the training, based on the model, whether that person is angry, happy, sad. So, and then give you the analysis. Now, so we're going. I hope it's not too technical, but we're going deeper and deeper. So we started with computerization, then we have automation, now we have machine learning, right? But in machine learning, notice that it's you who's training the model. Now, the next step would be deep learning, wherein the model learns by itself, right? So it learns from the pattern of how you're training it. So then that is what leads to AI. It's no longer hard-coded. You don't need to hard-code every Filipino word, how it's spoken. So it will learn and it will adapt. And so that is deep learning. Let's go back here. So from machine learning, we now go to deep learning or artificial intelligence. So that's how artificial intelligence works. But what can it do? So what if it can do facial recognition? What's possible? What's the application in education, right? How is it being used right now? So I'll just give you as many demos as I can for the time period for applications on AI. So one example would be on the chatbot, right? So I've shown you the basic chatbot a while ago. So this one. Some schools and some companies use this to create their own virtual chatbot for their school. It's not that difficult. What you just need is an FAQ. If you're familiar with an FAQ, most websites, they have their FAQs. When is enrollment? What are the requirements? The common question, right? These questions are.
Hi, Anne. Make it 11.
Apologies, kindly ensure that your mobile devices are on mute. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for that, Tim.
All right, thank you. So where was I? So chatbots. So the back end is just your FAQ. So it learns now the common questions and then it looks at the common answers, right? So of course, if it's not covered in your FAQ, it won't be it won't be able to answer that question. What it does is it records the question, and then it tells the administrator, I wasn't able to answer this question. Can you update the FAQ? So the administrator updates the FAQ, and then it gets smarter and smarter, right? So that is your basic chatbot. So that's how you build things like a Siri or a Alexa, Cortana, right? Or your digital assistant. And you could also use this to do things like research. It will not go to court for you. It will not litigate for you, but it can help you prepare. So things like, let's say I want some arguments in a debate. Let's say I want build me arguments to, let's say, pro, what's a controversial topic? To justify, let's say, euthanasia. Let's say normally we have debates, right? Pro-euthanasia, anti-euthanasia. So I want to build arguments for pro-euthanasia. So what it does is it scans the internet, tries to understand what is euthanasia, what do you mean, and then what do you need? You need arguments. What is the position to justify? So pro, right? And then it understood that requirement, and then now it's listing. Mananalo ba ako sa kaso kung ganito? Here are several arguments for, let's say, in favor of euthanasia. Self-determination, compassion, quality of life. And based on my question, it will already predict what would be my follow-up questions. So if I'm doing research, so ano pa yung mga i-research ko? Let's say, what are potential different types of euthanasia? If I'm prepared, can you give me an example where euthanasia is legal? All right. How does religion view euthanasia? So it helps do the research for you, bullet points. Yeah, so religious views. So if you want to test this, you could go to look for Bing AI, Microsoft Bing AI, and it's free. You can test this, right? And then you can, again, just like what I showed you a while ago, ask in Filipino or in English. It understands the context based on your conversation. And so that is different from your basic search. So this one is your chat, right? So, and it will tell you now additional information or more follow-up questions. And again, it will give you citations, right, for the different arguments or the results. Okay. But this is basic search, right? Find and then justify, search and logic. What about design? Can I ask it to create a poster, right? Design something for me. Actually, yes. So here you have Bing Image Creator. So again, you can search for this Bing Image Creator and you can test. You just need to tell it what you want to design and it will design it for you. Example, what do we want to design? Let's say let's say lawyers. What do you want? Lawyers, let's say at war or arguing. With, let's say, colorful cats. Just random, right? Let's see how it will interpret this. Lawyers arguing with colorful cats. Most likely, wala pa naman nag-design nito sa internet. So it's not a basic search and then let's search results. So it's actually creating something new, right? Or baka medyo mahirap nga yung ano. Let's see. If it can design, lawyers argue. You could, okay, so I have here lawyers as colorful cats that are arguing. It understood the context. It helped me design it, and I can have these options, right? So going a bit further, you can actually help it design the intent. Let's say I want it for a poster. I want to have an invitation, right? So let's say I want to design, I will help it by, let's say, adding something from my device. I will add a picture of the Pulse logo. So I hope this is the correct logo. I just searched this from the web. So I have here the Pulse logo, but I wanted to, so it already created some wallpapers for you. I don't want a wallpaper. I wanted to design an invitation for the quarterly board meeting, and then generate. So let's see if it understands the context and the requirement. I gave it a logo, and from that logo, I want you to design quarterly board meeting invitation. So it already provides me with templates. So you could use this in your next board meeting, right? Pili na lang, and then just fill in the details, the date, right? The venue, and it's there, right? So it helped me. It's as though I have an assistant who is a designer that helped me craft these invitation templates, following my instruction to use this logo, right? How about at work? How do you use this to collaborate or at work? So here is an example of using AI for live online meetings. Since the pandemic, I think most of us have our meeting or already familiar of doing online meetings, right? So with online meetings like in Teams or in Zoom or in Google Meet, so you've already digitized the meeting. You've already digitized the presentations, right? So, but how can AI help? So here are some sample recordings of some meetings that I've missed in the past month, right? But I want to be able to catch up. I wasn't able to attend these meetings. I want to understand what did I miss without going through the entire video recording. How many of you actually watch video recordings of meetings? Very few, right? Meron? Oh, may nagtaas ng kamay. But imagine if it's, let's say, a 2-hour long meeting and it's recorded. It's something that's very tedious for me to go through. So oftentimes I would just skim through. Okay, skip through here, skip through here, skip through here, and then most likely look for presentations and bullet points. Mukhang wala ako nakikitang presentations. So mahirap for me to understand. But notice that below, it tried to look at what are the key topics discussed during the meeting and where is that in the meeting. Let's say, ito AI-powered tools for digital transformation. When was this discussed? I click that and it jumped to the video where that topic or set of topics were discussed. So in very quickly at a glance, I was able to understand it is summary ng topics. And if I want to go through the detail, I can either watch the recording or read through the transcript. This is the actual transcript. And it does the note-taking for me. In the note-taking, it actually helps summarize the meeting and then put it in chapters and then put the notes. So imagine if you are the secretary creating the minutes of the meeting, it's very easy. You just copy and paste from the notes and then send to everyone. Now, what's interesting here is beyond this, AI also helps in creating Q&A. Tapos na yung meeting, paano ako mag-Q&A? Wala na yung mga kausap ko. So it now helps me to answer questions as though I'm talking to someone who attended the meeting. Example, what are the key topics discussed? So I'm talking to an artificial intelligence agent at the back end who attended the meeting. And then based on the recording, it will now look at, it's now actually summarizing for me. What are the key topics discussed? So imagine if you have, oh, here it is. So some of the key topics discussed were the partnership of Microsoft, DepEd, blah, blah, blah. I can also do things like, what are the next steps? Diba? Ito yung mga usual questions natin. Especially if you fail to attend the meeting. May action item ba for me that I should be aware of? So what are the next steps? So imagine this in a different context. So let's say court proceedings, recordings, wherein you could actually do Q&A even if the event already happened, right? And it helps you summarize instead of going through the lengthy video recording. It helps you now summarize, and it helps you do Q&A in case you have follow-up questions that are not in the summary. All right. So here are the action items. Who are the owners of the action items and by when? Right. And it's not copy paste. It's not this person said this, copy that, then paste it here. No, it understood the context that this person needs to do what by when, and then put that in my next steps. All right? So mas madali na. So I know some people medyo ayaw maggawa ng minutes of the meeting, or minsan 2 weeks na hindi pa na-email yung minutes. It's because it's tedious. But that now it's actually easier. And it's customized per person. Right? So each person might have a different question, just goes through the recording and then asks the AI. Okay, now how about teaching? So let me show you some examples of how we've actually partnered with DepEd in this one, how we use it to help teachers during the pandemic to teach online classes or digital lessons. So there are tons of, let's say, materials over the internet. So free materials like, let's say, these are short stories. Let's say this one, Cinderella. If I click on this, daming ads lang. So it will give me the content, but notice that there's so many ads. It's not really conducive for presenting this inside the classroom, right? But I have the content here. What I want to do is be able to just get the content I need without all of these distractions. So in my browser, there is an AI component here called Immersive Reader, or there's a shortcut. This is a Microsoft Edge, the browser. So if I click here, it will now transform the entire web page into a book format. So imagine if you're reading articles and then madaming masyadong distraction. If you click on that, it will now convert it into an ebook for you. Right? Nice. And it's something that you can also further customize. Let's say reading preference, you want this for grade 3. So maybe the text preference, we want it a little bigger. Right? And then the spacing, and then the font, the text, and so on. What more interesting is actually if I'm, let's say, teaching English, I want it to highlight nouns and adjectives. So it's now color coding everything. Or let's say I'm teaching lower grades, I want it picture dictionary integrated. So let's say, what does it mean? Fire. So I click on it, then it gives me a description. So imagine this assisting now your teacher in teaching in front of a class a content from the web, right? So that's AI. All right, and this is done on the fly. So this is not something that's already saved as an ebook. So this is just from any web page. You could put it there, maybe a CNN news article. It will do this for you. All right. Now, I want to show you some additional magic here. You could also ask it to read aloud. Let me see if my audio is shared. So let me know if you can hear this when I play read aloud.
Cinderella bedtime stories for kids. Cinderella fairy tale. Illustrated by Susie Chong. Once upon a time, a girl named Cinderella lived with her stepmother and two stepsisters. Poor Cinderella had to work hard all day long so the others could rest. It was she who had to wake up each morning when it was still dark and cold to start the
All
fire.
right, let me pause that there. Were you able to hear it? Now, what did you notice about the voice of the reader? It sounded like she's Filipina. It's not your typical AI voice like Siri, it's American, right? Or British. This one, it sounded like it's a Filipina. How did it learn how to speak or read that book as though it's a Filipina reading it? Right? Which is something that we actually need. If it read it like a British reader, it would be difficult now for our Filipino students. I actually have here on the right voice options, and these are already trained. The AI is already trained to speak in New Zealand English, Ireland English. So if I look at Philippines, I have here Rosa Philippines and I have James Philippines. Palitan natin. Let's make it James. And then let's read again.
Fire. It was she who cooked the meals. It was she who kept the fire going. The poor girl could not stay clean from all the ashes and cinders by the fire. What a mess her two stepsisters left. And that is why they called her Cinderella.
All right. Paglaruan pa natin. Let's say if it's US English, let's say female US English, so that you just you can hear the difference.
Cinderella. One day, big news came to town. The king and queen were going to have a ball. It was time for the prince to find a bride. All of the young ladies in the land were invited to come.
So notice the difference. That is American English female who's reading the book. Now, how did it do that? Does it mean that we trained the AI to speak every possible word in Filipino? No. To train the algorithm, to train the AI, to train the model, you just need someone to speak a few paragraphs, just a few paragraphs, not all the words. And it will learn from, okay, based on how that person is speaking, it will map all the possible words in the dictionary and then map that to your intonation or how you speak, right? So that is deep learning. Machine learning, you train it for every word for word. Deep learning, it learns from by itself, right? So imagine all of this. So it can now speak in French, it's English, but I can speak it in French and so on. I can also do things like translation. Let's say I convert this to Filipino, the entire page. And I now have an ebook, a Filipino ebook of Cinderella Encanto. And then let's try to read this.
Cinderella, mga kwento ng panahon pagtulog para sa mga bata. Cinderella Encanto. Ilustrado ni Suzy Chang. Noong unang panahon ay may isang batang babae na nagngangalang Cinderella na nanirahan sa kanyang madrasta at dalawang stepsisters. Ang kawawang si Cinderella ay kailangang magtrabaho ng husto buong araw para makapagpahinga ang iba.
So it translated English text, converted it to an ebook, and now is a Filipino reading a Filipino ebook. Again, saan tayo nagsimula? We started with just this web page with a Cinderella story, right? And now teachers can leverage this and a lot of information, a lot more stories, and convert it to something usable for teaching, right? So exciting, right? So this is what we're doing actually in K-12 in Singapore, in Thailand, in Philippines, especially during the pandemic. Imagine you don't have a teacher in front of the students reading the book. So you have AI who's now teaching students how to read and how to pronounce the words. Now, there's also some tools that are, okay, I still have time. Let's say here, this is a virtual classroom wherein I'll take it a step further. I will make an assignment for assessment naman to. So I want to assess students on how proficient they are reading a passage. So imagine, how do you do that normally? If you're an English teacher and you have 50 students, one-on-one. Okay, student number 1, basahin mo ito. And then you will correct on the spot, or you will assess on the spot. There's no easy way of doing that. But with AI and with assistive technology, you can actually have them read a passage, record that, and then have the AI automatically, grade and assess. Assignment. This one. This one. There you go. So I have the student recording here, and then here's the passage, and it actually helped me grade how the speed, accuracy, what are some mispronounced words or omitted words, and it will imagine now helping me scale this to multiple students. It also gives me some practice words for the students. So reading and remediation. Ano pa yung common problem for teachers? Mahirap magawa ng quiz. I was teaching in a past life, and I know it's always difficult to create problem sets for students, and walang kopyahan na iba yung problem set for one section, a different problem set for a different section. So there are AI tools that actually help you do that. So you just provide the context. Kasi this helps with reading, but not with comprehension. So I want to gauge comprehension, so that I have my reading text here. And I want to ask question type, multiple choice ba, true or false, open question, and I wanted to generate questions. So this is The Boy Who Cried Wolf, right? I have here the story, The Boy Who Cried Wolf, and then generate questions. Then what it does, it now gives me multiple choice questions. So imagine creating the question bank for your reviewers, for your quizzes. And these are, notice the question. What did the shepherd boy shout to amuse himself? There is a wolf. Help, help, I'm bored. The sheep are hungry. Let's look at the text. Is it anywhere written there? Help, help. Wala. Or things like, the sheep are hungry. It's not even here. So it's not your basic just copy, paste, and then random questions. It understood the context. It understood the text, right? It understood the story, and as though it was a teacher, looked for viable questions. Otherwise, it would be very obvious, right? If there's one that's from the text and the rest are not from the text, or mas madaling hanapin, right? This one, let's say, how did the villagers react? They found nothing and were confused. They found the sheep are safe and sound. So these are tough questions, right? And normally you need to have this manually created by the teacher. But this one is AI generated. So you see that AI helps with creating the questions, aiding the teachers, but note that it also aids the students. So students can also use AI to do the research, to do the project, right? To be submitted to the teacher, right? There are other, fortunately, I don't have much time, but there are other tools available, things like a presentation coach. Here, I can actually have AI analyze the way I deliver presentations, and it will grade me how I do presentations, and it will give me tips on how I can deliver my presentation better. There are also AI tools for programming, and this is the scary part, wherein you can actually have AI create their own automation. So how does it look like? So parang ganito yung automation. So let's say when a response, when a form is submitted, get the details, create an item, send an email. So these are the steps. But this was generated by a human. So we now have the technology wherein you're telling the AI to build its own program, to build its own model, right? I want a program to do online enrollment for my students, and it will create an online enrollment system for you from scratch. You don't need to understand programming. You just know that it works, right? So it's now developing its own programs. All right. But what is next? So let me pause for a bit. So ito lang yung medyo commercial before we have a quick open forum. Right? What is next? What are some of the things that are up and coming with AI? What else will it be able to do? Share audio. Let's check. Okay? So, it's just an intermission. So, yan lang yung commercial ko in the entire presentation. So, with Microsoft, we call our AI Copilot, and it will be embedded in all the products. So, like Word, PowerPoint, Excel. So, it will have Copilot. What does it look like in the future? Wherein it will, and this is actually happening right now with some of our customers. You can ask the AI or you can ask Copilot, build me a legal document using this template. So it will help you build a legal document using the template that you provided with that same letterhead, and using your how do you call this? Your style, how that person normally writes, the choice of words. You wouldn't know the difference that someone else created that document for you. Write me an email or a letter, right? And it will help you generate that email. Create an agenda, right? Or create a presentation. So bringing together the things that I showed you a while ago. It can design for you. It create arguments for you. It create the logic or the flow for you. So it can create the presentation. The only thing missing is present for you, right? Or go to court for you. But it helps you now on the back end, right? So I know there are a lot of questions. This is a really controversial and a very engaging topic. So I want to spend some time hearing from you. What's your reaction? Have you experienced some of this? Is this you learned something from the presentation? Is this something useful? And what are some potential questions? How do you now prepare for the future and also what's available right now? All right. Can we open the floor for open discussion?
Thank you, Tim. That was a very informative and insightful presentation, Tim. Thank you very much. Tim gave us a comprehensive overview of artificial intelligence, and he even mentioned deep learning and explained how it relates, of course, to education, depending on how we use these platforms. He also shared some interesting facts. I learned that there's a cookie which we cannot eat. I also learned that there can be subtitles in PowerPoint presentations. Apparently, the translation in the PowerPoint presentation is more accurate than the translation in Facebook, if I may say. We learned from his demonstration the use of AI in education. I am sure you all have learned a lot from his presentation and have some questions or comments from him. We will now open the virtual floor for the question and answer session. But before that, let us give a big round of virtual applause to our speaker, Tim. Share solace with me right now. Now, let's begin the first question or comment from the audience. Please be reminded that you must raise your virtual hand to indicate your interest. Please state your name and affiliation before asking your question or making your comment. And please keep your questions and comments concise and relevant to the topic. The virtual floor is now open for questions and comments. Anyone? Oh, team, maybe I can share like one request.
Sure.
One of our participants requested if we can have the links to the different software or apps or platforms used during the presentation.
Will do. I'll send it with the deck I showed.
Thank you, Tim. Crystal will just send the links using our Google group email.
Right.
There you go.
I can start the questions, and actually I have some seeded questions that I want to throw now to the audience.
Okay, Tim, go ahead.
So if there's no questions, the elephant in the room, do we allow now AI in the classroom or not? What do you
Any
think?
thoughts from our participants? Do we allow AI in our classroom? Chair Sol is here with me, and she said no.
Because there are two schools of
There's
thought.
a vehement objection from our chair.
But there are two schools of thought, right? One is, do you police now the use of AI in the classroom? Do you check every document they send, whether it's AI generated or plagiarized, or you adapt and use AI in the classroom and just adapt the way you teach? Because whether we like it or not, the environment is already changing. How they would work would also be changing, right? Do we
I
prepare
have to agree
for
with
that?
you, Tim, but there's this one comment from Dean Duca. He said it really depends on the topic and the activity, and I guess he has a point.
Right.
There's a question from Dean Randy. Well, I'll skip to like one question. I'll skip this topic first and ask the question of Dean Randy Perez. Is it really possible to prohibit the use of AI in education?
It depends. Honestly, you cannot stop AI from evolving. But in what happens inside the classroom, what's available inside the classroom, that's the teacher's discretion, right? So, but the environment is evolving. Kanya-kanyang point of view, whether how we deliver the classroom should also evolve or deliver lessons. Yeah.
Thank you, Tim. I agree. There's this one question from Associate Dean Yasmin Lee Tadeo. The question is, how can we best help our visually impaired students using AI? Well, this is for inclusive education.
Yep. So we've had a lot of tools available. Some of it I've demoed a while ago. So things like text to speech, right? So instead of the book, you can actually have it read aloud and read aloud in a local context where it's a Filipina teacher reading the book for, let's say, a visually impaired student, right? So those things are available right now. So there are tools that help you now do voice detection wherein you have the visually impaired student speak, and it will determine. So instead of typing now that the prompt for the AI, you can actually tell the AI what you want it to do, right?
Yeah, thank you, Tim. If I may just share, when we accepted Anthony Mbakling, he's now a lawyer who is visually impaired in our program, JD program, we learned about all these platforms in order for us to assist him in maximizing, the learning potential of Anthony. But let's continue. Another participant asked, can you comment on ChatGPT?
ChatGPT, OpenAI, Google Bard, Microsoft Copilot, these are just different names of the same thing, artificial intelligence on the back end. So each one has their own application, how you can leverage AI. But what I've shown you is, regardless of which brand, it's still in the same back end. What do you need? You need a large data set, and you need the model to learn, the machine learning or the deep learning. So it's all the same.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Tim. One participant shared a valid concern, and I think this is being shared by other professors as well. His concern is that the student may just use artificial intelligence and not really devote time studying. So probably this encourages laziness, I think.
Can be.
What's your comment about this, Tim?
Well, so some examples I've seen from other countries that they're evolving the way they leverage the classroom, and this has highly been leveraged during the pandemic as well. So things like flipped classroom, wherein instead of doing your lectures in class, and then giving assignments, the homework, and then they sometimes they just use AI to answer that. You do the reverse. You let them prepare for the lesson at home, give them the reading materials ahead, let them use AI to research, and then inside the classroom, you focus on application of learning, right? How well did they really understand? Let them collaborate to solve a problem or apply that knowledge. So that is just one model, flipped classroom, right? But there are other ways to do this. The key, they call this, the things that AI will never be able to replace, and things like the 21st century skills, equipping our students on those capabilities. So communication, collaboration, critical thinking, creativity, those things AI will never be able to replace. So it can create the arguments for you, but it's still you who should be able to communicate with other humans. Diba? Walang internet, walang computer, hindi gagana yan. It's still you who will deliver that presentation. It's still you who will tell the AI what it needs to do. So you need to do the problem solving, right? Or what it needs to design, the creativity to do that, and collaborating with other your colleagues. It won't be able to collaborate for you.
Thank you, Tim. Well, I guess in that statement, the challenge there is restructuring the assessment in order to ensure that it's more focused on critical thinking and analysis. So thank you for that, Tim. Let's move on to the next question. One participant asked, with the use of deep learning, from your own perspective, do you think an AI develops the ability to be morally aware and observe ethical standards, thereby holding it accountable for acts or omissions that may cause injury or damage to human?
I am not a legal expert. I can only comment on the ability of the AI to learn from patterns. So there are things that can be mimicked, can be repeated through patterns, but whether it's something that can be what do you call this, litigated, that it's what do you call this, whether the AI is accountable for the actions. So I'm not sure what's our legal basis on that.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Tim. Another question in the chat box is it possible to check if the student used AI in drafting and submitting a paper?
So I've shown some tools a while ago that uses AI to look at potential matches from the internet, whether sources are being plagiarized without proper citation. So there are tools that are available to do that. But whether you want to do that or whether you want to shift the way you evaluate or create papers or submit papers, that's a different thing.
Thank you, Tim. Later again, Christine will send the links that Tim had shown us earlier. So any other questions or comments before we close the open forum? None?
Other, if I may contribute some common questions that I get asked as well on AI. What's the impact of AI on the future jobs for students, employability of students? So that's also the reason why I'm recommending that we prepare students for the future, because AI is inevitable and we can actually see the job market evolving. So there are already some jobs that are extinct because it has been replaced by automation, and more so once AI learns or becomes well averse with the common tasks that can be replaced. So things like we don't have phone operators anymore, right? It's all digitized, automated. Assembly lines is already automated, but that's just the first few years. Now we have things like, you notice even in the fast food, there's no more cashier. That's also being automated. Ordering is also being automated. You'll notice that it's able to speak in fluent English in a Filipino accent, an Indian accent, American accent. So pretty soon, we won't need call center agents anymore. And yet we are still producing or training a lot of students to become call center agents. But when they graduate, would that still be available, right? Legal secretary, maybe, maybe not. Depends on what is the tasks performed by the legal secretary. That said, there are new roles or new jobs that weren't there 5 years ago that is becoming available because of the advent of technology. Things like workplace specialist. Parang walang ganyan job description before. But now that we're doing things like hybrid, how do you enable employees to work from home but still be productive? So may mga specialists who's focused on that. Or cybersecurity, data analysts, or even prompt engineers, the ones who type in that AI prompt. There is now a job for that. So those things we need to take into consideration. How do we prepare our students for the evolution of yung job market?
Thank you for that insight, Tim. We have 3 more additional questions after you raise that question. And so let me read them for you. First question is, one of the most dreadful tasks of law school teachers is checking essay answers.
Mhm.
Are there currently available AI tools which allow checking of essay answers, but the AI will be able to appreciate different variations of answers as well as quality of argumentation?
Answer is yes. There are tools that will help you analyze how well written an essay is, the arguments, how it supports the coherence, the clarity, the choice of words. So there are, if you notice, I think I also demoed that a while ago. There's a score that helps guide the teacher. So in the same way that in reading and comprehension, there are tools that help the teacher automate that so that they can focus on remediating. They can focus on catering or doing personalized education. So there are tools for essays, there are tools for reading comprehension, there are tools for mathematics. It's already available.
What's the name of the platform or software, Tim?
So there is available in Microsoft Word. There's tools available in Google Docs. So each of the different platforms, they would have their own flavor of AI assisted technology embedded on the tools.
Thank you. Next question, Tim, is what is the difference between Internet of Things, AI, and AI-powered humanoid robots?
Well, Internet of Things, these are the sensors essentially that listen. So things like your GPS or monitors, the small gadgets that generate or that capture lots of information and feed that to your AI. So AI is the one that learns from all of that and creates the interaction. What do you call this? The interactive layer where with the humans, and then humanoids or androids. So these are essentially the robots that help that actually mimic human interactions, pero physical form siya versus virtual computer AI.
Okay, Tim, thank you, Tim. I will act like I understood your explanation, but in reality, I didn't. But nonetheless, I hope that answers your question, Maricel. Last question, Tim, is given the potential harms that may be caused by the deployment of AI to the public, what are the safety standards, if any, done by Microsoft? That is the training of AI imbued with ethical restrictions, for example. And Grace thanks you in advance.
Yep. So that is a really, well, that's a long discussion on things that even things like cybercrime has been evolving rapidly. From normal phishing email scams, you now have AI that actually calls the person. There's no person in the back end, but it calls the person. It asks for your personal information, right? And it's also doing things like mimicking people you know, like your mom, your dad. They can mimic their voice and make a phone call. So these are new and sophisticated attacks on data privacy, right? But we still need to catch up. I think the local laws, so things like what do you call that? Was it Data Privacy Act, right? What are the repercussions? How do we protect citizen data, right? And then what are the tools that are being used by the government to police and enforce, the things like Data Privacy Act. There's also things like educating the public, educating the citizen. Do not just keep on uploading your things like your privacy settings. So you need to also monitor that. In terms of what Microsoft is doing, we actually have a separate division in Microsoft for cybercrime. Parang CSI that actually helps police the internet for cyber crimes or phishing attacks or different types of attacks that are AI driven or technology driven across the web and across even the different products.
Thank you, Tim. With you saying that, I think that can be a future employment for lawyers, or a field of law, practice.
Marami pa. Yeah.
There's a comment from Dean Joey. While we acknowledge the huge strides of AI towards perfection and convenience, in our business of educating and forming persons who will hopefully be serving the public, particularly those in the peripheries and the oppressed, and protecting our legal system founded upon a rule of law and a rule of justice, I feel that we have to accept, maybe even prefer, to an extent, the imperfection and inconvenience of being human. That's from Dean Joey Hofelenia of Ateneo de Manila University. Thank you for that, Dean Joey. Okay. Now, since we no longer have any questions and comments, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of the question and answer session of today's webinar. I hope you have enjoyed and learned a lot from this webinar. I certainly have. I would like to thank our speaker once again for his informative presentation and for sharing his expertise and insights with us. He has given us a lot to think about and to apply to our own. I would also like to thank you, the audience, for your active and enthusiastic participation and contribution. You have asked some very interesting and relevant questions and made some very insightful and constructive comments. Obviously, you have made this seminar a lively and fruitful exchange of ideas and knowledge. Let us give ourselves a pat on the back, and that includes me. Okay. Now, before we conclude this seminar, I would like to invite Ms. Dewata Andrea Torres, the Marketing Officer for Law of Rex Education, which is our constant partner in delivering quality legal education, to give us a short message. Ms. Torres?
Hi, good morning, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank PALS for allowing us to be part of this activity. It is truly our pleasure working with everyone to make this lecture possible. So thank you very much, Dean Schwade, for giving us the directions for this lecture. And to Sir Tim, thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Now we have a better and deeper understanding of artificial intelligence. So in behalf of Rex Education and the rest of the law team, thank you everyone and have a great day.
Thank you, Ms. Dewata and the entire Rex Education family. Finally, may I invite on the virtual floor, in my case, the physical space that I'm occupying now, our chairman of the Board of Trustees of the Philippine Association of Law School, and may I use this adjective, the indefatigable Dean Maria Soledad de Roquito Mawis, for his closing remarks.
Hi, everybody, and thank you very much, Dean. Say you are very good, better than AI. AI is you, Dean. Anyway, okay, magandang umaga po sa inyo muli. You know, change unsettles. It unsettles us because our otherwise established, patterned lives are now threatened to be transformed into something new and uncertain. Rather than being silenced by the fear of the unknown, getting to know the future is the key to embracing the certainty of change. The presentation actually made me think, seriously think. Will my core existence, our existence, be threatened, oversimplified, and reduced to a virtual and automated nothingness? I still do not think so, because at the end of the day, human intelligence is still incomparable, and I hope still far superior than artificial intelligence. AI is not alive, unemotional, it is unsympathetic at this point, and is still dependent on our input and on our electricity. It thrives because we allow it to thrive. AI, therefore, is still dependent on us humans. Getting to know AI is just the beginning of our understanding of the inevitable paradigm shift. Today's session is just the beginning of a future and robust discussions on the propriety of using AI in the academe, ethical issues besetting AI, and privacy issues. May today's discussions help us sleep better with the perceived enemy or friend, depending on your appreciation of AI, of our future. Thank you very much, Rex Bookstore. Thank you very much, Mr. Tim Vergel de Dios. And thank you very much for joining us today. Mabuhay.
Thank you, Chair Sol, for the enriching message. Closing remarks. Okay, let us give another round of applause to our speaker, Tim, and of course, Press Jim, who gave his opening remarks earlier, and Chair Sol for her closing remarks, and all the participants for sharing their knowledge and insights with us today. It's just simply amazing how much we can learn from each other when we come together like this. So let's take a moment to reflect on what we have learned and how we can apply it to our lives and work. I hope you found today's webinar, informative and inspiring. Remember, this is just the beginning of an ongoing conversation. Who knows? The next webinar will be entitled AI and Ethics. Let's continue to build on what we have started today and explore ways to collaborate and make a positive impact in our communities. Thank you to everyone who worked hard to make this seminar possible or webinar possible. And thank you to all of you for being here today. Again, this is Tin, your hungry host. Enjoy your lunch, everyone, and have a pleasant day ahead. Bye-bye. Si Chair. Bye.